Yeah, in the southern Levant, you can see also the official architecture of gates and the fortresses. But when you look at the houses, besides some of these governor residence houses, you don't see too much Egyptian architecture. And even for the domestic units in Bet Shean, Amichai Mazar said that you can find parallels in the southern Levant as well for this architecture. And it makes me wonder, first, I like what you said, Linda, about this imperial style in the peripheries of the empire that is not necessarily Egyptian and might correspond a bit with the local architecture in this regard. And another fascinating case is that the Egyptian architecture influenced local architecture. And you can see the adoption of wall painting and this organization of temples in imitating Egyptian houses. There is a temple in Lachish that Manfred Bittak suggested some years ago that it was rebuilt in the 14th century according to an Egyptian blueprint with the central hall with pillars in the center. And in this case, it's fascinating, this diffusion of Egyptian ideas to local architecture and the local variations of the Egyptian architecture.
So speaking about local variations, just picking up on that point, we have we have one example at Amara West of a column in a house. So that's something that's missing. Is that to do with the paucity of decent quality sandstone and indeed wood in the area? You do have them in the temples, for example. In terms of color, I think that's also an important thing. So you showed those lovely wall painting fragments, Ido. We've nothing like that at Amara West, but a lot of the, well, not a lot, but a significant amount of the house domestic surfaces were painted, whether it was the wall behind the mastaba, sometimes decorative lines. But interestingly, despite quite good preservation of the ceiling in some places, we don't seem to have any plastering or color decoration on the ceiling like you have, say, at Amarna. So again, how much is this local choice? Is it to do with the evidence that's surviving to us? It's very difficult to know. As I mentioned earlier, at Amara West, you do have some small houses in rows that seem to be being laid out. We didn't fully expose them, so it's a bit difficult to understand them completely. But you know, whether it's within the reign of Seti I, so within a matter of years of the town being founded, or it's early in the reign of Ramses II, it seems a lot of the town is razed to the ground, not the temple or the deputy's residence, but a lot of the other features. And a whole series of new houses are created on different alignments, different layouts, often distinct to each other. So there's a real sense of individual stroke household agency. But what I find really striking is quite early on, if you take the two houses that are literally across the alley from the deputy's residence. So for those of you who are not familiar, at the heart of Amara West in the walled town was one of these formal so-called residence buildings, which we know from inscriptions was the seat, the house of the highest pharaonic official in Upper Nubia, the deputy of Koch. Anyway, there's a 1.5 meter alleyway between this residence that was maintained and refurbished across 200 years. There's a couple of houses across the road, including one of the ones I showed a plan of earlier. And early on, maybe even already within the reign of Ramses II, you have people building into that alleyway. They're building little additions to their houses, little bins, little pens, little sand traps, and so on. And this is surely in one of the places that is the kind of, you know, the most obvious projection of Egyptian power, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe we put too much onto that. And I think going back to something I worked on before, where you come in through the west gate at Amara West, brightly colored, all these scenes of Nubians being destroyed in a chariot battle. But when we look at a plan, we can sometimes not feel how narrow the spaces are once you're through that gate. And it might be that the deputy's residence with its thick walls, it really appears to us on a plan. I can think of walking around some cities, and particularly in Southern Europe and the Middle East, where you go through little winding alleys and you don't actually realize the kind of size of the thing that's there. So I think we need to be a bit careful about how these big kind of state or administration level buildings, how much they may have had a visual impact and how much they may have been somewhat ignorable on a day-to-day basis.